My ex cheated and then forced me to raise her affair child. 6 years ago, I found out my wife was cheating and pregnant. A DNA test proved I wasn't the father. I divorced her, had my name removed from the birth certificate, and moved on. We shared 50-50 custody of our 3 kids. They knew what happened. I got them therapy, supported them, and made sure they knew they didn't have to hate anyone from me. But their bond with their mom broke, and they never formed one with her youngest. 3 years ago, the affair partner left. Since then, my ex has begged me to be involved in her child's life. I always say no. I'm not their father, legally or emotionally. She tried using that to take custody of our kids. She lost. I now have primary custody after she lost her job and home. Her requests for help with her youngest grew louder. I ignore most, reply only to clarify I'm not responsible. Our kids still visit her every other weekend. They hate it. They want nothing to do with her youngest. My ex says I should be a role model, a father figure. Send gifts, include her child. I don't. I've asked my kids. They always say no. My ex is furious and calls me heartless. I don't hate the child. I just can't be what she wants me to be. It's not about revenge. It's about boundaries. That child is innocent, but I can't give what I don't have. Maybe that makes me cold. Maybe that makes me awful, but I honestly don't know. Am I the ass?
Single parents, what's your best worst dating story? After my divorce, I finally agreed to go on a date again. He seemed nice, polite, good with my 6-year-old daughter. He'd bring her little gift, help wash the dishes, even read her bedtime stories. It felt too good to be true. One night, I woke up thirsty and found him standing in her bedroom, just watching her sleep. He didn't even flinch when I asked what he was doing. Calm as ever, he said, "She looks exactly like my daughter did before the fire." I called the cops right then. He'd lost custody years ago and had been looking for a replacement. I haven't dated since. Some monsters don't hide. They knock politely on your door.
My ex said no one would want a single dad, so I married her sister. When Brinley broke up with me at her parents' anniversary party, she made sure the whole family heard her say that dating a single dad was like signing up to be an unpaid babysitter for another woman's kid. She actually looked at her relatives and said, no independent woman wants to play stepmom and deal with baby mama drama. I stood there holding my daughter Valerie's hand while she asked why Brinley was being mean to daddy. The entire room went silent as she continued her speech about how her girlfriends all had child-free relationships with men who could be spontaneous. I felt my face burning as 50 family members watched me try not to break down. Her sister Leah was the only one who spoke up. She stood from her table and told Brinley she was being cruel and pathetic. Leah helped me gather Valerie's coloring books and snacks, while Brinley kept going about how she'd been dating her CrossFit trainer Brian for 3 months already. That explained all those early morning workouts and weekend fitness retreats. As we walked to my car, Leah kept apologizing for her sister's behavior, while her own 2 kids waited in her minivan. The next few weeks were rough. Valerie kept asking when we'd see Brinley again, and I had to explain that sometimes adults stop being friends. I threw myself into being the best dad I could be. Leah texted to check on us and suggested our kids have a playdate since they went to the same school. Her daughter was in Valerie's class, and her son was just a year older. That first playdate changed everything. The kids became instant best friends and begged for more time together. We started a routine of park visits and pizza nights. Leah and I bonded over single-parent struggles and discovered we'd both been in toxic relationships. Her ex-husband had abandoned their family 2 years ago, and she'd been handling everything alone. We laughed about grocery store meltdowns and compared notes on bedtime battles. After 3 months of friendship, something shifted. I caught myself looking forward to her texts and getting nervous before our family hangouts. She'd remember little things like Valerie's favorite juice box flavor and would grab extras for her. When Valerie performed in her school play, she sat next to me and cheered just as loud as I did. Her kids started calling me Uncle Zane, and Valerie began asking if Miss Leah could come to everything. 6 months into our friendship, Valerie got hurt at school. She fell off the monkey bars and broke her arm badly. The school called me, but I was stuck in a meeting downtown. In my panic, I called Brinley since she was still listed as an emergency contact. She answered on the second ring, but when I explained what happened, she just said that wasn't her problem anymore. She told me I should have thought about these situations before keeping custody and hung up. Leah was my next call. She immediately said she was on her way and beat me to the hospital. When I arrived, she was sitting with Valerie while she got x-rays and had already handled all the paperwork. She stayed with us through the night and kept both her kids and Valerie entertained with stories and games. At 3 in the morning, while Valerie slept between us in the hospital bed, she mumbled that she wished Leah could be her mommy because she actually cared about her. We looked at each other across her sleeping form, and Leah reached for my hand. She admitted she'd been falling for me, but didn't want to complicate our friendship or confuse the kids. I told her I felt the same way. We decided to date secretly at first to make sure it was real before involving our children. For 2 months, we snuck around like teenagers. Date nights when all 3 kids were at sleepovers and stolen kisses during school pickup. Brinley had moved on to posting about her child-free luxury lifestyle with Brian all over social media. Her parents reached out to apologize for their daughter's behavior and mentioned they missed seeing Valerie. Everything came to a head at a family dinner I was invited to. Brinley brought Brian and spent hours loudly telling anyone who'd listen about the benefits of dating men without baggage. During a toast, she made a joke about how real love meant starting fresh, not settling for someone else's mistakes. That's when Leah stood up. She clinked her glass and announced we were engaged. Valerie ran up and wrapped her arms around her legs, calling her mommy Leah. Brinley's face went from smug to shocked to furious in seconds. She started yelling about family loyalty and how Leah was picking up her leftovers. Leah calmly revealed that Brinley owed $40,000 in credit card debt and had been harassing me for money throughout our relationship. Brinley's parents gasped, and Brian dumped her right there, saying he didn't date women who abandoned children. We married 4 months later with both our families celebrating. Brinley posts bitter quotes from another state while I wake up every morning next to a woman who chose us completely.
AITAH for not letting my wife's AP go to her funeral. My wife passed away. She was in a car accident. We had separated for a few months, and this was due to her wanting to be with her AP partner. They had been together for about a year and a half. They told me they had been genuinely in love. The divorce hasn't been finalized, so legally speaking, I am responsible for my wife's body. We have 2 kids. Both of them in their teens. They have been a mess. I can't say I've been much better. At one point, I was so angry at my wife that I wanted her to get hurt. Now I find myself wishing she was still here with me and our kids. I've been making arrangements for the funeral, and the AP has reached out to me on social media. He's been asking if he could know if we are going to have a funeral or a memorial service or something. I told him to fuck off. I keep justifying this. I'm trying to keep my family from falling apart, and I've been dealing with the funeral costs. There's just so much I need to do, but I'd be lying if I said part of me didn't wish for this guy to hurt. Edit. AP means affair partner. This is the guy my wife had been cheating on me with for over a year.
Am I the a-hole for suing my ex? So I dated a YouTuber. We went out for about a year, and it was alright, but they were so emotionally invested in their channel that they constantly neglected me and made me feel like I wasn't a priority. Not really important why we broke up, but we ended it. Then, I get a bunch of messages from friends about 3 months later, telling me to go to their channel. I'm pretty much done with them, but I do, and I realized they made a video about me claiming I was emotionally abusive. I continue to get messages from strangers telling me how awful a person I was, and how they hoped I died through various means. So, I sued my ex. It ruined them. I knew they were financially in a bad spot and likely couldn't afford court fees, but the case dragged on. They made a video about not being able to afford court costs and such, and how it was going to ruin them. After that, a bunch of friends started telling me to just let it go and move on, but I had sunk money into the case as well. It wasn't cheap for me either, so I didn't just drop it. Eventually, the judge ruled in my favor and I received a total of nothing from my ex, but it meant I could link to the result in the comment section of every video she tried to frame me as the bad guy because, in our state, court proceedings are public record. Suddenly, her viewership dropped, and she blamed me for ruining her life. A bunch of my friends said I went too far and should have just taken the court win and left her alone. What would you do if your date secretly brought their parents to judge you? I was having my coffee when I noticed them, an older couple sitting across the cafe, trying way too hard to look casual as they pretended to read menus. The woman kept peeking over her glasses at our table, and the man was doing his best to hide behind a potted plant. At first I thought maybe I was just being paranoid, but then my date smiled and said, "Don't look now, but my parents are here." I laughed, thinking it was a joke. I mean, who brings their parents to a first date? But he waved at them, and they smiled back, like this was totally normal, like spying on your grown-up son's first date was a family tradition. I was totally stunned, and he casually said that they just wanted to get a feel for me, make sure I wasn't a catfish. A catfish? Seriously? We'd been FaceTiming for 2 weeks. I'd told him about my job, my dog, my favorite books, and somehow none of that mattered, because apparently his mom thought I might be some 50-year-old dude in disguise. So I did the only logical thing. I stood up, walked over to his parents' table, introduced myself with a smile, and sat down with them. I spent the next 20 minutes sipping my drink and telling them what their son thinks about his parents. He said his mom's cooking was terrible, and she still dressed like a teenager trying to stay relevant, and his dad was awful with money and a lunatic pervert who still scrolls through dating sites. Meanwhile, my date sat alone in shock, watching his whole world crash in real life. Obviously, he never called me back, but his mom followed me on Instagram.
AITA for having sex with my GILF friend during a threesome she sprung on me. NSFW. My partner, let's call her 80, had floated the idea of having a threesome a few times, and I agreed as long as we set clear boundaries as to what we would do or not do sexually, so that no one would get hurt. It wasn't with her friend Kim, because I'm not attracted to her personality or looks, and I think she's a possibilities human. At some point on the weekend, the 3 of us were pretty drunk and high at home, and the girls were giggling and making jokes about having a threesome. I took them as jokes, as I believed 80 remembered my 2 rules. Regardless, at the end of a big night, the threesome kicks off, and 80 calls me a pussy when I try to bring up the boundaries. It went really well, and we were having a great time, especially 80, who was really in her element, calling the shots and beaming ear from ear the whole time. After mostly having sex with 80 for half an hour, 80 tells Kim to get on me. And as Kim and I go at it, I reach for 80, but she says, "Don't worry about me. Focus on Kim." So I do. She watches for maybe a few minutes and leaves the room abruptly. I assume she's either grabbing a toy or a drink, and so keep going. 80 pokes her head in quickly and disappears again. I keep having sex with Kim for maybe 2 minutes max before stopping to check on 80. She was upset and sitting alone in the next room. She accused me of having sex with Kim, like I do with her, and also accused me of making her feel excluded. I explained that our agreed rules were broken and I was put on the spot and was only trying to do what I thought she wanted me to do in the given situation. She apologized and saw my point of view. We both felt bad, we made up, and left the next day. All these facts are now out the window, and AITA is raging at me, has broken things off, and is entirely fixated on believing that I intentionally left her out so I could fuck her friend. She's also convinced we need to end things because I fucked her friend like I fuck her, so our sex is no longer special and I have ruined our intimacy. She is not talking to me anymore, and I'm dying of anxiety and self-loathing. I sure feel like the asshole, but why?
AITAH for being appalled at my boyfriend's political views. Boyfriend and I have been together for a year and some change. I love him and he loves me. I knew he was conservative, but I am conservative on some issues, so I didn't think much of it. A few months ago, he revealed that he is a Trump supporter. I thought that was nuts, but I thought maybe he just wasn't well informed. When I asked basic questions about it, he was very defensive, and so we agreed that we should just not discuss politics as a rule. Well, I will admit that I have been very outspoken on social media about the atrocities that are going on with ICE right now. It's something I feel very strongly about. Yesterday, he asked me if I would please stop posting stuff about it, because his family has added me on social media, and apparently he is embarrassed. I told him that I'm embarrassed that he is okay with what is happening in this country right now. I'm a widow, my kids are half Mexican, they speak both languages, and so it freaks me out all the more. I got really upset and cried and told him I was scared for my kids, scared for everyone who is not white in this country right now. He tried to comfort me, saying it won't happen here in Texas. I'm like, it's already happening here. To which he basically claimed fake news, but gently. So like, oh honey, that's just the media trying to stir people up. He reminded me that we said we were not going to talk about politics as a couple. I agreed and apologized for getting upset. I walked away from it kind of in a daze. But I have been thinking about it all day today, and I don't think that I did anything wrong. It's my social media, right? It's not like I tag him in anything I post about it. I have this sick feeling like this is going to be a deal breaker for me. He proposed on our anniversary, and I said yes. We were making plans to live together. I'm just still very upset. I feel like if you can see the awful things happening and not recognize that they are bad, not feel moved to compassion and action, then can you really claim to be a good person? TLDR, boyfriend wants me to stop posting political stuff on my social media and I freaked poot at him. Edit for context. I don't post every day. I share news stories, and I have written text-based posts about people's rights when dealing with ICE, etc.
I accidentally told the woman I'm seeing I love her, but I didn't really mean it. What do I do? I've been casually seeing this amazing woman for about 2 months now. We click really well. She's funny, smart, gorgeous, and honestly, just fun to be around. But here's the thing, we're not serious yet. We've been on maybe 7 or 8 dates, slept together a few times, and we've had some deep conversations. But we haven't had the what are we talk yet. Last night, we were watching a movie at her place, and it was just one of those cozy, wine-fueled, cuddly nights. She made this dumb joke about something and laughed so hard at her own joke that she snorted. And I don't know what came over me, but I just smiled and blurted out, "God, I love you." Dead silence. Her eyes got all wide, and she just stared at me like I had dropped a marriage proposal. I tried to backpedal immediately. I followed it up with, I mean, not like, love, just like, you're great. I love this vibe, you know? But the damage was done. She smiled and said, "I love you too," and kissed me. Then we cuddled like nothing happened. But now I feel terrible. I don't actually love her. Not yet. I really like her. I could see it getting there. But the words came out way too early and not sincerely. And now I'm stuck because I don't want to keep saying it just to maintain the illusion. But AITAH for dumping my girlfriend for not giving back my car. For context, I lent my car to my 27 of frying girlfriend to use for a couple of days. After 4 days, all I got were excuses as to why I hadn't gotten it back. A week goes by and I have stuff that needed to be done and promises that I had made to be certain places, doctor's appointments, etc. The last message I got from her is that she was stuck, out of gas, away from her house. So I ask a friend to drive me to her house. I get there and my car is sitting there. So she lied about being stuck, without gas. I went to the place she was supposedly stuck first. I go to the door and ask her for the key. "Oh baby, can you spend the night? I was going to text you that I made it home." The place she was stuck at was 30 minutes away, and it only took me 10 minutes to get to her house, 5 minutes after I texted her. She starts crying and tries to manipulate me into not taking my car. Tells me she's going to kill herself and all that. I just asked her for the keys again and get in my car. I make sure she has all her stuff out of it. And I leave. I get home, get out, and go into my house because it's late and I have an early morning appointment. I go out to my car yesterday morning and find in my floorboards trash, a pair of men's flip-flops, and a white rag. The rag is hard and crusty. I can only assume what it was used for. In my glove box, I found minibar whiskey bottles, opened and consumed. In the back seat, a man's shirt that did not belong to me and beer bottles. In the trunk, I found a pair of men's pants. My girlfriend is 105 pounds with a 22-inch waist. The pants were a 36 in the waist. This alone confirmed what the rag in my front seat was used for. I pulled the wallet that was in my center console and the one from my glove box. I dropped them in the mail today because I'm still too pissed off to see her. I left a note for her to lose my number and forget she ever knew me. I've blocked her on all my socials, blocked her number and shut off her phone. She's on my plan. I have given her a year of my life, my sweat, my tears. I was there for her more times than I can even count. Anytime she fell behind on a bill, I paid it. I made sure she had groceries. I made sure that she had money, thousands of dollars over the last year. I didn't think the sex was bad. She would have to push me off at her orgasm limit. So AITA?
I caught my boyfriend in an orgy with my best friend. Okay, I'm not even sure how to start this off. 1. This is my first post on Reddit. I heard you can share stories on this app and I need to tell someone or I'm gonna flip. Okay, I 24 Faber fines, and my boyfriend 26 ml have been together for almost 3 years. We've always had a good relationship. We had our moments, but ever since we've been together, I've never even thought about anyone else. He's always been caring and thoughtful. Kinda the, wow, I can't believe he's mine type of guy. A few months ago, he started staying later at work, which I didn't think much of because he's never done anything for me not to trust him. And I'm pretty secure in our relationship. However, as of recently, around 2/3 months ago, he's been coming home really tired, like straight to sleep, not even hold a conversation tired. Now he works construction, so I figured it's pretty normal for him to work longer and be more tired due to that. This has put a major shift in our usual dynamic. But I really just wanted to give him the benefit of the doubt. Until around last week. So now I have a best friend who hated tease my boyfriend. Always saying he's controlling, doesn't want her to be friends with me anymore, etc. Granted, I don't do a lot I used to with her, out of respect for my relationship. Now last week, I don't even want to think about how they found this. One of my coworkers sent me a link. Isn't this, insert my boyfriend's name, exclamation point. I click it purely curious. Bam! Full-blown orgy blown in my face, volume, loud, and I'm shocked, confused, hurt even. Because I see my boyfriend taking on some chick doggy style, and I see the date set back about a month or so ago. Now I'm pissed, and about to send it to him when I see another face. I can't even make this up when I say my best friend was there, face full of someone. I'm shocked. She was always a wild card, but never like that. I'm sick at this point, I don't even want to watch. I was so hurt and confused on why she wouldn't tell me. Then I get my answer. Clip change, boom, front, bam, and center, my best friend is with my boyfriend. That way, and honestly, I don't know what to say. What to do? I don't even know how to confront them, so I haven't. I'm sick to my stomach. I haven't even been home. I texted him, told him my mom's under the weather, so I'm gonna visit her for the week, and he hasn't questioned me. I have absolutely no clue what to do.
AITA for walking away from a 4-year relationship after she started faking mental illness and cursing my family? I, 25M, have been with my girlfriend, 25F, for 4 years. But over the past few months, everything has changed. She has angry outbursts and lashes out at me over small things. I work nights and still end up doing most of the chores. When I ask her to help, she tells me she couldn't get out of bed and says I'm overreacting. The part that really breaks me is how she talks about my family, especially one relative who took us in and still helps us with groceries and bills. She said she wishes they were dead. I don't know how to respond to that. She insists she has a mental illness, and when I called her out on her BS, she suddenly developed all the symptoms and pressured her psychiatrist into giving her a diagnosis so she can get meds. It feels manipulative and dishonest. Meanwhile, I'm working hard to pay off debt and going back to school. I'm trying to move forward, but it feels like she's pulling me down with her. I still care about her, but I'm emotionally exhausted and starting to feel completely lost.
AITA for refusing to kick my little brother, 17 man, out of my place at my girlfriend's request so she, 21F, would feel better about moving in with me, 22 humanity. I, 22M, have been taking care of my little brother, 17 men, for just over 2 years since our dad died. Our mom died a few years before that. Both had very bad health. He lives with me and goes to the local H by my apartment. He had to switch high schools to the one close to where I stay, but my parents were in a different area. And he works whenever he is not in school. He works 2 part-time jobs during the school year and works full-time throughout the summer. BC, even though I took him in, he has a lot of expenses. I just can't afford to cover it all. And wants to save up for the coming years. He shouldn't be in this boat at all, but that's life. He is so young. Life has been very unfair to him, and he is a really good kid. I have been dating my GF for just over a year. She wants to move in and not contribute to the household expenses. BCL shouldn't charge her rent. BC, she is not a tenant, and I am not a landlord, but we are boyfriend and girlfriend, and I should be happy my girlfriend wants to move in with me. And I guess not contribute anything to the household expenses. BC, she sees it as me charging her rent. She also wants me to tell my brother to leave so we can have the space to ourselves, and she can have more space. She has referred to him as a freeloader, even though he is just a kid, and I got myself to become his legal guardian. I told her no way. I think I should break up with her over just suggesting this, but I don't know if I should go that far and maybe should try and get her to see where I am coming from.
Am I overreacting for walking out of my boyfriend's family dinner after what his mom said to me? I'm 24 and I've been dating my boyfriend, 27 male, for almost a year. Things have been good between us, but his mom has never really liked me. She's the type that makes little comments masked as jokes and expects you to just laugh it off. We had dinner at his parents' place last weekend. It was a big thing, like 10+ people, including extended family. I offered to help in the kitchen, and while we were plating everything, his mom looked me up and down and goes, "Well, at least you're useful for something." I was starting to think he was just keeping you around for fun. I literally froze. Everyone heard it. No one said anything. My boyfriend just kind of nervously laughed. I quietly excused myself, grabbed my stuff, and left. He called me later saying I embarrassed him and that I should have just ignored her sense of humor. I told him I'm not going to sit at a table with people who treat me like I'm disposable. He said I overreacted, and now his mom is upset that I stormed off in front of the family. Was I out of line for leaving? Am I overreacting to feel trapped in my marriage because my kids think I need to be taken care of? I, 46 female, have been married to my husband, 43 male, for 23 years. A few months ago, he told me that our bond was broken and he didn't want to deal with my burdens anymore. For context, I have several disabilities and many specialists. He left for a few days early on, but returned. When he returned, he told me that he was withdrawing all affection and intimacy, and if I didn't like it, I could leave. Well, I earn more money than he does, even working part-time, because I have a tech background, so I strongly considered leaving. My kids are 20, 16, and I value their input, especially since my decision impacts the 16-year-old. I had found a potential place to stay where I could bring my cat, but I needed to hear their support. I was met with a different attitude. They both feared that I was too disabled to take care of myself, and they felt that as long as their dad met his obligations to take care of me, I should be willing to accept his terms. I felt crushed by their words because even though it so obviously came from their genuine concern over my welfare, it also sent the distinct message that they did not believe I could stand on my own. They see me as someone who needs to be protected, even though I'm the breadwinner, and take care of the house and the finances. The conversation left me feeling trapped in my own home. Am I overreacting for feeling this way? Should I just accept that my husband is my caregiver and nothing more?
AIO for laughing when my mother-in-law introduced herself as Grandma CEO in the birth plan group chat. I'm 7 months pregnant with my first baby. My mother-in-law has always had a strong personality, but lately she's taken things to a new level. She insists on being part of every doctor's appointment, virtually, texts me tips from motherhood daily. She had her last baby in 1989, and recently added herself to our private birth plan prep group chat with me, my husband, and my doula. Her first message: excited to support this sacred arrival. Grandma CEO checking in. Let's make this birth a 10 out of 10 experience. She then listed roles she wants: logistics coordinator, nurse liaison, baby name consultant, and energy protector. I thought it was a joke and replied with a laughing emoji and said, "You forgot catering director." She didn't respond for a day, then sent a long text saying she was deeply hurt by my dismissive attitude and that she expected more respect for her generational wisdom. My husband thinks she's being ridiculous. I do too. But now she's telling the extended family I mocked her role as a grandmother. Am I overreacting by being annoyed, or was the nickname just too much?
AITA for leaving my boyfriend at the bar after he told the waitress I was his sister as a joke. Okay, so this happened last weekend, and I'm still getting heat from my friends and even my mom for how I handled it. I, 21 female, have been dating 27M for about 8 months. Things have been mostly great. He's cute, charming, a little cocky sometimes, but whatever, he has this habit of joking about not being serious with me when we're around other people. At a party once, he introduced me as a friend of a friend. Another time, he pretended he forgot my name in front of his college buddy. Every time I've brought it up, he's brushed it off as just a joke. Anyway, we were out with a few of his friends at this bar. It was pretty packed, and the waitress was definitely flirting with him, smiling a little too hard, touching his arm, that kind of thing. I wasn't too bothered at first. He can be friendly and doesn't always realize when someone's hitting on him. But then I got up to go to the bathroom, and when I came back, I heard the waitress laughing and saying, "Oh my God, seriously?" I asked what was so funny, and she said, "Your brother is hilarious." I looked at him, and he smirked and said, "Yeah, I told her you're my sister, just messing with her." I didn't laugh. I just said, "Cool," grabbed my stuff and walked out. I took an Uber home. He didn't follow me, but he texted saying I was being dramatic and that it was just a joke. I haven't seen him since. Now his friends are messaging me saying I embarrassed him, and even my mom said I should have just played along instead of storming off like a child. She said guys do dumb stuff sometimes, and if I want to keep a man, I need to pick my battles. I don't know. It just felt icky. Like he was trying to downplay our relationship or seem available for the attention.
My sister-in-law kissed my neck, and then I spent the last few days with my brother and his wife's family. And then my brother's wife's sister kissed my neck and then hugged me tightly when we said goodbye. I don't know how, but it's like no one noticed. Either that or they ignored it, which is also weird. Basically, we were always bantering back and forth, and people around us were thinking that we hated each other. But for my part, the banter was highly charged with attraction. I always thought it was for jokes, but this is seriously giving me mixed signals. She's really independent, and she's an actress, so I don't think it's common saying goodbye like this. My love language is touch, and I would never do that if I wasn't attracted to her. But for her, could be super normal. I don't know where this would be normal, but hey, what do I know? What do you guys think? I felt like it could be something there, but I've been mistaken a lot in the past. Thanks for your help.
Partner of 2.5 years has issued an ultimatum. How do I proceed? Open to everyone. My partner and I have been dating for 2.5 years. She has 3 kids from 2 men, 11, 8, 6. First marriage lasted 2 years equals the 11-year-old. Next failed relationship, 7 years equals 6 and 8 years. Things moved very fast. She was recently out of her 7-year relationship and moved into an apartment she could not afford. Her and I started dating in November and had moved in together by February. Background context, her and I dated 15 years ago in Hulse and reconnected 2x, 12 years ago, and then most recently 2.5 years ago. We rushed into the relationship and moving in together, never had a chance to get to know each other. I supported her through RN school. She now has a stable career. She can support herself and children. Shortly after we got together, I supported her through her mom's passing. 1 year into the relationship, she supported me through a severely broken leg. We function well, are loving and caring during difficult situations. Her kids are well behaved and have stable, healthy relationships with their fathers. I love the kids and have enjoyed spending time with them, though it's very stressful to watch them 1 to 2x a week while she works overnight shifts. She recently issued an ultimatum. If we are not engaged by 3 years, the relationship is over. I understand and respect her boundary, but it's causing a great deal of anxiety. We never really had time to allow our relationship to grow and blossom. She is a great woman, very hardworking, career-oriented, great mom, takes care of her kids and I. However, we don't have quality time together, and it seems really hard for her to make it. She schedules her shifts for the days she doesn't have the kids. I was thrust immediately into the position of instant stepdad, was hoping to get to know her and the kids more before an ultimatum was issued. I do not feel ready to commit to a lifetime of marriage yet. I feel we need more time and need to make a commitment to spend alone time together. She supports my dreams and passions, I support hers.
My roommate's girlfriend basically moved in, and I'm losing it. I, 25 male, share a 2-bedroom apartment with my roommate, 24 male, who's been my friend since college. We split rent 50-50, utilities too. It's always been chill until about 3 months ago when he started dating this girl. She was around a lot at first, which I didn't mind, but now she's here literally every day. She eats our groceries, showers here, watches TV all day, and sometimes even sleeps in the living room when he knocks out early in his room. She even started leaving her clothes in the bathroom and her name's on my cereal box. Like what? I've talked to him once casually and said, hey, just making sure we're cool splitting everything still, since she's here a lot. He laughed it off like, oh yeah, man, she just hangs out. No big deal. But like, it is a big deal when I'm paying half the rent and it feels like I'm living with a couple I didn't sign up for. I don't want to be a jerk or mess up the vibe, but I'm starting to feel like I'm being taken advantage of. She's basically living here rent-free. I'm not trying to charge her or anything. I just want space, or at least a convo about boundaries. Should I bring it up again and be more direct? Or just let it slide and wait it out? Anyone been in this kind of situation before? My future SIL insulted me at dinner and my fiancé told me to apologize. Hi everyone, I'm engaged to a man I love deeply. We're getting married in a few months. Everything has been smooth between us except when it comes to his sister. Let's call her Elle. From the start, Elle has made it very clear she doesn't like me. She never says anything directly cruel, but always finds a way to make me feel small comments like, you're not family yet, or wow, he's never dated someone like you before, all with a sweet little smile. I've never responded rudely. I usually just smile and change the subject. But this weekend, during a family dinner, she said something about me marrying into money and how I should be grateful. I calmly said I didn't think that was appropriate. Later that night, my fiancé told me, I know she's out of line, but could you just apologize to keep the peace? She's sensitive. I was stunned. I told him I felt hurt, not just by her, but by him asking me to apologize when I've done nothing wrong. He said he just wants everything to be smooth until the wedding. I don't know what to do. I've never wanted to be someone who starts family drama, but I also don't want to keep swallowing my pride just to keep other people comfortable. Any advice? How do you handle someone who subtly disrespects you and a partner who sees it, but still wants you to let it go?
AITA for telling my roommate's boyfriend the truth after she lied about me trying to sleep with him. I'm 24 and I live with my roommate Tasha, who's 25. We've been friends since college, not super close, but we always got along fine. She's been dating this guy Nate for a little over a year, and he's been over at the apartment a lot. He's always been respectful, never flirted with me, and I've never crossed any lines. Last week, Tasha accused me out of nowhere of trying to get with Nate behind her back. I was completely shocked. She said she saw how I acted around him, how I dressed when he was over, and that he told her I made him uncomfortable. I was stunned and honestly really hurt, because none of it was true. So, I messaged Nate. I asked him straight up if I ever made him uncomfortable or if she said anything to him. He was just as confused as I was. He said he never tore any of that, and he never got that vibe from me at all. Turns out, she had made it all up. He confronted her, and now they're fighting. And she's furious with me for getting involved in their relationship and going behind her back. I told her I wasn't going to let her trash my character and lie to both of us just to start drama. Now she's barely speaking to me, and our apartment is tense as hell. A few of her friends are saying I should have just let it go and not messaged Nate directly. AITA for not staying quiet when she lied about me.
My ex-wife moved on so fast. 32, male, New York. I don't know. I don't want to just hear that women move on faster. I just hate myself for not being good enough. We were together for 12 years. My wife had to move out from allergies, but as soon as we split up, I guess it was realized that I wasn't good enough. She already met someone else from work and they hooked up and I can't even get over her. I was trying so hard to use this time to self-admit myself into a mental health center, which I did, so I could be better slightly for the possibility of reuniting with her. She's my golden standard, and she's already past considering me as a possibility in the future anymore. God, I suck. I feel so stupid. I called her today, telling her I knew she moved on. Her old iPad threw the message of them having hooked up across the screen to me. It breaks my heart more than anything. I wish I never found out that way. All I care about is how to better myself so that she'll look at me again. She won't. I don't have any expectation of us getting back together. 12 years together. We got married. She's my gold standard. I don't care if she dates 100 people. I just want to be good enough for her. I was her first relationship, but she wasn't mine. But she was always too good for me. All of my friendships ended over the years. 2 of my best friends died back to back, and now I feel like I have no one. They were the ones that made me feel connected to others when we'd hang out in groups. I'm so alone now. The pandemic ruined my chances of reuniting with the people I left behind when I moved to California and met my ex-wife. I don't know how to move on. I have deeply terrible anxiety and ADHD. It's so hard to meet new people, and even harder to find the determination to put myself out there. Edit. Really raw place when I wrote this, but I feel like I've had some sense smacked back into me, and I'm being more logical now. I did gloss over some details without being too specific, and it's kind of silly to get back into 1K comments on. I'm still taking it all in and reading on. Much love, guys. Secret revenge. My MIL did not want me to marry my amazing wife. I wasn't rich enough to give her the lifestyle that she thought she deserved. I know she bet us $10 that she wouldn't cry at our wedding. She did. When we asked for the money, she pulled out two $5 and threw them on the floor, saying, "That can go towards your inevitable divorce." And aside, we are still married, still in love 47 years later. Anyway, once married, she started wittering on about when were we going to give her grandkids. At every family do, every phone call, every letter. About 8 years in, we started talking about it and decided that neither of us were keen in the first place. But most importantly, we didn't want her in our lives any more than she already was. So I had a vasectomy, and we didn't tell her. We just kept her hanging, frustrated, on the hook of possibility. It was glorious, and we still laugh about it whenever she starts up about how she was too old to enjoy them when the other siblings started popping them out.
Update. AITA for recording my friend's fiancé at her bachelorette party and playing the recording for him. Yesterday, Friday afternoon, I got a text from my friend asking me to block his fiancé's number. I was a bit thrown by the request and asked if everything was okay. He said he couldn't talk right now and asked me to please just block the number. So I blocked the number. I have this weird glitch with my Android Auto where if a blocked number calls me, it shows up in my recent calls as a missed call on my car's screen, even though on my actual phone, it doesn't ring at all. I was driving later and saw a ton of missed calls from her. There were so many it exceeded what my car will show me. I kept the number blocked. Later, my friend's best friend, who was supposed to be the best man, called me and asked me if I had heard from our friend. I said yes and asked why. He sent me a screenshot from the fiancé's Facebook, talking about how people show you their true colors and saying she was newly single. I tried to call my friend, but he didn't answer. Tonight, I finally heard back from him. The long and short of it is that he asked her about how she feels about his son. She said he's adorable and sweet. My friend played her the recording, and she asked where he got it. He refused to tell her, saying it shouldn't matter. She immediately guessed it was me. He refused to confirm that. She was angry that he wouldn't tell her I recorded her conversation and said she can't trust him anymore. She called off the wedding. Not a great update, but since so many of you were so invested, I thought you'd want to know.
IATA for telling my girlfriend that we are not living together if she wants to split joint expenses proportional to income. I, 28, met my girlfriend 2 years ago. My girlfriend is in grad school and lives off of the small stipend she receives in student loans. I make fairly good money. My girlfriend wants to move in with me. I live in a house owned by my grandparents and do not pay rent, at their insistence. My girlfriend's current rent alone takes up almost her entire stipend each month. Plus, she has a utilities, food, medical insurance, car payment, medical bills, credit card debt, etc. The landlord is raising rent, and she has not been able to find a cheaper place that feels moderately safe and sizable enough for her and her dog. So she wants to move in with me. I currently have a close friend who also lives here. He pays all the utilities as his rent. My girlfriend wants him to move out if she moves in, which he is fine with doing. I have talked to my girlfriend and stated that if she moves in, we should split the joint bills and expenses 50-50. She is greatly opposed to doing that and thinks it should be proportional. That would result in me paying virtually all the joint expenses. A 50-50 split would result in a significantly better financial situation for her. Right now, her living expenses are exponentially higher than her stipend. With this 50-50 split, they would be significantly less than her stipend. I would actually be paying more than I do now with a 50-50 split because I do not pay any utilities right now. I told her if she insists on a proportional split, then we cannot live together. She is pissed and says I am causing her unnecessary stress. We both can afford the proportional split, so that is what we should do. AITA.
AITA for telling my feel he can't hump the floor at my house or in my presence. Crazy title, and I wish it weren't true, but here we are. Unfortunately, I'm asking because I'm possibly in a state of being gaslit, or I actually can't take a joke and I can't see it. My file, late 50s, is known for being very playful. Goofy, some would even say. Well, him, my Mael, late 50s, and 3 sibling in-laws, 20 meeting and 27 meeting, 28 feel, married couple, came to stay with my husband and I at our home, 28 field, 30 meeting, and to see our new Ello 7 months. Well, Ello was put to bed, and we were all in the living room area hanging out, doing stretches, just casually talking, when FEL decided it would be funny to start humping the ground out of nowhere. And unfortunately, it was directly in front of me, not MIL. Neil and I looked at each other in shock while his children all laughed and chuckled. FEL made it clear that the gesture was meant for his wife, despite it being directly in front of me, with eye contact, so we dropped it. The night passed, they left town, and after a few days of not being able to shake the image in my head, I decided to talk with my husband about how uncomfortable it made me, along with other sexual jokes he makes about us all being married, and etc. There's been this big divide now on how I'm always ruining the fun, how it was just a joke, and not a sexual gesture, and how I'll always find a problem when my husband's family is in town. His family thinks this, however. When I speak with my mom, sister, cousins, and anyone on my side of the world, they see his jokes and gesture as totally inappropriate. My field tried to make the point that I've done TikTok dances in his home, with the other sibling-in-laws and my husband, and he's never felt uncomfortable because he knows they're harmless, and that it's not fair for me to judge him about this versus knowing his intent, which was to just make a joke. My point is, even though I'm not on TikTok and I don't post videos, everything I've done is postable. Him slow-stroking the ground is not. My husband got mad at me for not seeing it as a joke, and so did the other married siblings who were in the room that were raised by FIL. So, AITA for saying that my FIL humping the floor in my home presence made me uncomfortable, and drawing that boundary. I genuinely would appreciate feedback because I plan to have another conversation soon, and I want to know that I'm coming into the conversation grounded in reality.
Could my partner get really hurt, or worse? My partner, female, and I, female, are both Middle Eastern in a clearly unacceptable type of relationship for the region. We are both in our 20s. She is in Lebanon currently. Her mother found out everything about our relationship and is sending her to a camp tomorrow and will be doing hormone therapy and stuff. She also took away all her devices and is keeping her trapped in the same room as her. That's the extent to what we know about the camp before she had to stop writing me. I did some Googling into conversion therapy camps in Lebanon because I'm worried sick, and found some articles about these camps that do hormone therapy and shock therapy and some other things. I don't think her parents would do something to her, but could this camp permanently physically harm her? I already know it will mess her up mentally, or even kill her. I don't know what to do or what avenues to explore. I'm in the US and can't even reach her. Someone help me, please. And if there is another subreddit to post this to, please tell me. Thank you.
AIO for telling my girlfriend she was being classist after she made a comment about my mom's job. My girlfriend, 25-year-old female, and I, 24-year-old male, have been dating for about 8 months. Things have been mostly great. She comes from a very academic background. Her parents are both professors, and she's finishing med school. My mom cleans houses. She's been doing it her whole life, and she works her ass off. She raised me alone, and I owe everything to her. Last week, my girlfriend and I were planning a dinner with both our families. I suggested we do something low-key at my mom's house. My girlfriend kind of hesitated, then said, "I just don't want my parents to feel awkward. I don't want to sound rude, but your mom is a cleaning lady. My dad might find that kind of weird." I went totally quiet. She realized I was upset and said I was being overly sensitive. I told her she was being classist and it was offensive. She rolled her eyes and said, "I just don't want my parents to feel out of place. It's not personal." I haven't talked to her in 2 days. Am I overreacting? I think my relationship is about to end. I'm a 22-year that's a trailer technician that recently got a raise making $31 an hour. My 22-year-old girlfriend that's selling jewelry at markets has recently moved into an apartment back in March of this year. She wanted me to get an apartment with her, but I wasn't ready financially. I also had personally financial goals for myself, like pay off my car, establish a stable emergency fund, and overall not have just enough to get the apartment. I've communicated to my girlfriend about my plans, and she proceeds to counter the discussion with, "I have goals too, or I have more bills than you." So she proceeds to cry and says, "I don't know how you're okay with us not sleeping together at night." Even though before she got the apartment so told me that I wasn't going to spend the night over and not pay any bills there, even though I didn't intend on doing so, she keeps bringing up the fact I didn't want to move in because her business income wasn't stable. I wasn't trying to belittle her business, but she buys her jewelry from Shein and resells them at markets in different cities. She has been running the business for about 8 months. Personally, I didn't want the possibility of if she can't pay her portion to fall on me because I wasn't ready financially. I explained that to her, and she feels like I don't want to be with her, all because I chose to stay home with my parents instead of living with her in order to place myself in the best position possible.
I think I have messed up. So, I recently reconnected with my ex after almost 3 years of zero contact. We bumped into each other at a coffee shop, and we ended up talking for hours, like no time had passed. The weird part? She's now engaged. I didn't plan it, but we kept meeting up as friends. One thing led to another, and last night, well, let's just say lines were crossed. Now she's messaging me like nothing happened, saying she's still going ahead with the wedding, but wants to keep talking. I don't know what I expected, but I feel guilty, confused, a little used. Do I tell her fiancé? Cut her off completely? Or am I already too deep in? Be honest with me in the comments. I really need some perspective.
Girlfriend went through my phone while sleeping and kind of found something. I have been dating my current girlfriend for almost 2 years now. She was actually my first girlfriend and first love I ever had when I was like 14, 15, but we broke up and reconnected about 9 or 10 years later. I only dated one other girl off and on. For the 8 and 9 years we were apart, it was horrible, and she really used me and cheated on me repeatedly. So I haven't had much experience with dating, quite frankly. I've only had good experiences dating my current girlfriend, as the last 1.5, 2 years has been absolutely amazing, up until last night. I took a nap that lasted longer than intended and awoke to her on the couch in a very bad mood and her being super quiet. After a lot of poking and prodding, I finally got her to tell me what's wrong. She had gone through my phone while I was sleeping and went through everything. All she found was me clicking a link tree of a girl on Instagram who happened to be in a model. In the link history section of it, you can clearly see I only opened the link tree but didn't click on any links, would show up in link history if I did. Brief explanation on my part, I'm a mechanic and a newer Supra came through the shop. A few of the younger oil changers were all talking about it being a girl's car, and I said I'd be willing to put money on the fact that the owner isn't a model. So I go to the IG on the window sticker and then clicked Linktree, proved my point, and closed the app. Then around a week or two later, I was on TikTok and some random goth/emo girl pops up on my phone. My girlfriend also has a very emo/goth aesthetic, and for some reason I felt compelled to go on this girl's account and just scroll through, probably 10, 15 videos. Didn't like, didn't comment, didn't save, just watched the videos and closed out of the app. Being completely honest when I say this, I never look at other women. I really feel that I only have eyes for her, but still, for some reason, did what I did. All this took place in May of this year, and she went all the way back to find proof of both of those events and is now saying she can't trust me and that I've destroyed our relationship and the love's all gone. I really do love this girl more than anything, and I don't want to lose her, but as bad as I do feel for hurting her, I don't really understand why she is as upset as she is. AITA, or is she looking for an excuse to leave?
AIO for being furious that my husband was loud during my job interview, even though I left the apartment for his. My husband, 35 it's me, and I, 33, a female, both had job interviews today. Mine was at 9 a.m., his was at 10 a.m. For the past week, he repeatedly asked me to leave our apartment during his interview so he could focus without distractions. I agreed, made plans to go for a walk, and fully intended to give him the quiet space he requested. When it came time for my interview at 9 a.m., I stayed in the bedroom, door closed, and started my call. About 10 minutes in, my husband started running his loud espresso machine and was talking very loudly in the kitchen, so loudly that I could hear him through the door. The noise was completely distracting and made it really difficult to hear my interviewer, who was already hard to hear on the call. I was frantically texting him to please be quiet, but he continued being noisy throughout my entire interview. Afterwards, I was furious. I couldn't believe that after making such a big deal about needing absolute quiet for his interview, to the point where I needed to leave, but he couldn't even show me the basic respect of being quiet for mine. When I confronted him, he told me I was overreacting and that I should have just worn headphones. I'm upset because I feel like he expected me to prioritize his interview but didn't do the same for mine. At minimum, I expected the courtesy of him being quiet while I was interviewing. I'm worried that I missed something critical during the interview because I got distracted. AIO for being mad and feeling disrespected?
My boyfriend's upset with my response to his daughter visiting. Hey all, I just want to get some advice from parents in the community about my boyfriend's daughter coming to stay for the month of July. I, 24, have been dating my boyfriend, 30 who we'll call B, for about a year now. He had his daughter when he was around 17. And after she was born, his girlfriend at the time moved to be closer with family, about 18 hours away. B gets his daughter every July, and this is where I have some reservations. B was renting a house off of an older gentleman who retired, and the new house B will be renting is not ready until August. So since mid-May, B has been staying with me in my studio apartment. He casually mentioned to me today that his daughter would be staying with us in my studio for July. I responded that it felt a little inappropriate, especially since his sister lives 5 minutes away from us, 2-bedroom apartment, and his mom is 30 minutes away, 4-bedroom house. I tried to explain to him that it's not appropriate for his 12-year-old daughter to not only be meeting me for the first time, but to also be sleeping on an air mattress in the same room as us. In my opinion, she's at that age where she needs her privacy and she's old enough to understand relationships and might not feel comfortable staying so close to us, especially since I am a stranger to her. I asked him what his daughter's mom thought, and he said he never told her because she would be okay with it. If that was my daughter, I don't think I would let her visit her dad knowing this information. It's a scary world out there and I just want what's best for his child. So any mothers and fathers out there, am crazy for thinking like this, or would you too have reservations if your kids were in the same situation? Also, if there are any suggestions as to how you can better handle this situation, please let me know.
My girlfriend said she's not proud to introduce me to her friends because of my job. Am I overreacting for wanting to pull back from the relationship? I, 24M, have been dating my girlfriend, 26F, for almost a year. She's amazing smart, driven, getting her graduate degree in clinical psychology. Her friends are all in that same academic bubble and her family's pretty status-focused. I didn't finish college and work full-time as a mechanic. I actually really like my job. I make solid money, and I'm proud of how far I've come without a degree. Anyway, she invited me to a dinner party this weekend to meet her friends. I was excited. It felt like a step forward. But right before we left, she got weirdly quiet and finally said, "Just try not to bring up work too much, okay? They can be a little judgy." I didn't even know how to respond. Then she added, "It's not that I'm not proud of you. I just don't want you to feel awkward or out of place." That really hit me. I kept it together, but the whole night I felt off. I barely talked. It just felt like I was being prejudged before even walking in the door. When we got back to her place, I told her how much that hurt, that it felt like she was embarrassed of me. She said I was twisting things and making it bigger than it was. "I just want you to be the best version of yourself," she said. Since then, I've been distant. She's acting normal, but I can't shake how it made me feel. I don't know if I'm being too sensitive or if this is something I shouldn't just brush off. Am I overreacting?
My partner exposed her client's true character, and it was hilarious. We own a vet clinic, and I'm the founder. We closed down a little early, and one of my partner's clients was parked at the clinic. I was walking our family dog on the clinic premise and saw them and approached them with a smile and asked them if they would like for me to open the front gate for them. They said yes, please, and they left. I went home and told my partner, "I think some of your clients were still there, so I let them out the gate. They seem nice." The next day, they go to visit my partner at the clinic and tell her there was a gypsy vandal at the clinic with an aggressive pit bull. My partner laughed and said that's my life partner. He owns the clinic. Instantly knowing they were caught in a lie, they went red in the face and completely changed the demeanor. It was a small but satisfying win for me today.
AITA for telling my girlfriend she can't force me to cancel my vacation and lose $2,500 because she hates Harry Potter. I 27M and my girlfriend 27F have been together for 4 years now. I've always wanted to visit Universal Orlando to see the wizarding world of Harry Potter, but I'd never been able to justify it financially. My dad died recently and I got an inheritance in his will. Not life-changing money, but enough to pay off my debts and have something left over. So I decided to book a trip for Universal, and I was lucky enough to get tickets for their new park as well. My best friend loves Star Wars, and so do I. So we decided we'd go together and split time between Universal and Disney World because we probably wouldn't have the chance to go again anytime soon. I told my girlfriend this up front, and she said she was excited for us, but didn't want to go because she doesn't support Harry Potter because of Rowling and her views on LGBT people. She was fine with it until she found out Rowling is apparently using her fortune to fund anti-trans campaigns, and she started screaming at me about supporting transphobia. Her younger brother is trans, so trans rights are extremely important to her, which makes sense. Early in our relationship, we basically agreed that I could do whatever I wanted regarding Harry Potter, but she wouldn't join in. It's never been a problem until now. During the discussion, she tells me I'm not allowed to go because it'd be supporting Rowling, which is supporting anti-trans people, and not supporting her brother. I said, honey, I understand what you're saying, but if I cancel, I can't get my money back. When I booked the trip, I booked with a trip planner, and they said explicitly my tickets are non-refundable. I can change the dates if I need to cancel my initial trip, but I won't be refunded if I cancel and don't show up. My plane tickets, hotel, and park tickets are all non-refundable. I've spent about $2,500 on this trip. I can't justify wasting that kind of money, and she knows that. But she says it doesn't matter. It's not about the money. It's about the principle, and I'm not allowed to go. I respect what she's saying and where she's coming from, but I'm not throwing away that kind of money. And she can't just ban me from going somewhere. I'm an adult just like she is, and I can make my own decisions. I feel bad because I see both sides. On my end, I'm not willing to just lose almost $3,000. On her end, she wants to support her brother. I want to be considerate and respect her wishes, but that'd make me lose thousands of dollars, and I'm not sure if I'm just hung up on the money part instead of how she feels. AITA.
She said she enjoyed the sex, but then went behind my back and posted about it. I feel sick to my stomach. I feel disgusting, and I feel ashamed. I feel hurt and sad betrayed. I, 20 female, just started seeing this girl. Communication is really important to me, especially in relationships, and I've always made an effort to be open and ask the people I'm with how they're feeling. The morning after we had sex for the first time, I asked her how she felt about it. She said she liked it and said it was good and that she enjoyed everything about it. But a few weeks later, I came across something that crushed me. She posted online about the experience, and in that post, she described it as bad sex. Not just bad, but almost dehumanizing. She wrote about how she was clean, shaved, and I wasn't. I had no idea we would even do that, and how I didn't want to take my underwear off while being touched, which she said she understood in the moment, but she said it was a turnoff. I feel so sick reading it. That post was the exact opposite of what she told me. She could have just been honest when I asked her how she felt. I wasn't expecting perfection or fireworks. I just wanted honesty and a chance to understand her better. But she lied to my face and went to the internet to talk about me like I was gross. What hurts the most is that I let myself be vulnerable. I thought we were trying to build something real, but now I feel humiliated. I feel like my body is something to be judged and laughed at behind my back. I'm starting to question whether I was ever actually seen or respected. Has anyone ever been through this?
Should I leave my BF due to his immense weight gain as the title? Please don't judge me, but it's been bothering me. My boyfriend was always chubby, but not too obese. I liked him for his chubbiness and cuteness. Since in relationship, he started gaining weight, and I used to point out to at least be in healthy range. He used to say that he is really busy at work and also struggling with mental health and is unable to cook a clean meal. We had planned to move in together, so he would say that he can't wait and it'll be helpful if I can prep clean meal for him as I'm doing WFH. Now that we have moved in together, even if I prep meals, he would still order fast food and eat lots of sweets and snacks in BTW. Now if I tell him to please eat healthy, he would ignore me and even get mad sometimes and eat even more unhealthy. Sometimes if someone in family and friend point out his weight, his reaction would be cutting out that person. He is not stopping and his weight is increasing every month. Recently his back is hurting so much that he is unable to go to job. I always thought he could not lose weight due to his routines, but I'm seriously now considering to leave him due to his non-seriousness towards his health and I'm worried that in future, he might be like those overly obese people that won't be able to get out from bed. I want a family in future, and having a healthy father is also very necessary. Again, don't judge me as I'm all for body positivity, and any advice would be helpful.
AITA for threatening to divorce my husband over Mr. Beast. I, F24, am seriously at my wit's end. My husband, M26, is partially deaf from DJing in his teens, early 20s, so he needs things louder to hear them. But what I don't get is why that has to mean I'm involuntarily listening to Mr. Beast yelling about burying himself alive or giving away $10 million to strangers at 9 a.m. on a Sunday. He watches Mr. Beast videos on his phone at like 95 to the 100% volume, not even joking. He'll put a video on while he's in the shower, phone just blasting on the bathroom counter, and I can hear it clearly from 2 floors down. And it's always Mr. Beast. Not different YouTubers, just him, constantly. Same loud vibe, same chaotic energy every day. I've asked him to wear headphones. He doesn't like them. I suggested subtitles. He doesn't want to read while relaxing. I even bought a small Bluetooth speaker, thinking maybe it'd help if the sound was directional or just a bit better quality. Nope. Says he prefers it from the phone speaker. After the 3rd time this week, I got woken up by "Last to leave the circle wins $500,000, echoing through the damn walls. I kinda snapped and said, half joking, if I hear one more Mr. Beast video at full volume, I'm filing for divorce. Now he's sulking, saying I don't respect his hobbies or his hearing issues. But honestly, it's not just the volume, it's the content. I think it's childish. He's almost 30. Why is a grown man obsessed with videos made for 14-year-olds with zero attention span? I love him, but I just want peace and quiet in my own home. I'm tired of feeling like I live inside a YouTube thumbnail. AITA. AIO for walking out of my baby shower because my MIL made it all about her. Loss. Family in-laws. I'm 28 weeks pregnant with our first baby. My husband and I, both 31, were over the moon when we found out. It's been a tough pregnancy, but I've managed. And my friends threw me a small, beautiful baby shower last weekend. MIL 61 unit feel showed up wearing white, a sash that said Grandma to be, and brought a framed picture of her first baby, who tragically passed away at 3 months. I thought maybe it was just sentimental and tried to let it go. Then, during the gift opening, she loudly told everyone that nothing will ever top her firstborn, and made me pass around the photo. I was stunned. It felt like she hijacked my moment to grieve her own at an event literally meant to celebrate my baby. I quietly left the table, went to the bathroom, and cried. My husband followed me in and said, "She's just emotional. Don't make a scene." I said I wasn't going back out if she was still there, and he got mad at me. So I called my best friend, and she drove me home. Now my mini-L is playing victim, saying I embarrassed her and shamed her grief. My husband says I overreacted and should apologize to keep the peace. I don't even want her at the birth now. Am I overreacting?
People who've called off wedding engagements, why didn't it work out?
I'll never understand the toxic stalker behavior. My ex really didn't care about me. Truly. He'd stopped caring sometime during COVID. I broke my ankle, he did nothing. He moved out of state twice without me and the kids, expecting us to chase along after him. He barely blinked when I packed up the trailer and kids the final time, and left for yet another separation. And then the divorce finalized, and he trailed my truck around town for weeks, showed up repeatedly at my job, pestered me at volunteer events, and just generally made an absolute nuisance of himself, until my current partner put an abrupt and rather brutal end to the stalking behavior. I will never, ever grasp why someone who had repeatedly abandoned me and gave zero fucks when I was begging him to fix the relationship became obsessed after it ended.
AITA for calling my wife a jerk for telling our son's crush that our son likes her in front of his friends. I, 37 meters, have 3 kids, 14 meters, 11 feet, 8 feet, with my wife, 37 feet. Our son, who we'll call Sonny, is in grade 9. My wife is asking him if he has a girl on this grade 10 girl, Tina, 15F, who he's been hanging out with. Sonny said it's not her who he likes, it's a different girl, a 9th grader who we'll call Chris, 14F. So my wife asked Sonny if Chris knows. He said no, and that's it, a secret. My wife asked why. He said his friends will make fun of him. My wife asked why. He said it's because Chris, the heaviest girl in their grade, she has terrible skin, and she's a tomboy. One Saturday, Sonny had friends over. It was Sonny plus 5 other boys with Chris, Tina, and another girl. At one point, my wife just walks into the living and she tells Chris that Sonny has a huge crush on her. It was so uncomfortable after that. Chris got up and just walked out of the house. The kids barely said everything, and they left earlier than expected. Sonny didn't say anything to me, nor his mum, but he made sure to slam every door he used. Later that night, in bed, I called my wife a jerk. She said she was trying to prevent our son from becoming a bully. I told her there was a better way. Then she asked, what if one of our daughters were in Chris's position? Then she asked, if we went to same high school, would I hide my feelings for her? She ended sleeping in the guest bedroom. Am I the asshole? Edit, a sad update. The information is sad, and the fact that I had to hear about this from Tina's mom is sad. To nobody's surprised, Chris was indeed humiliated. Chris at first thought it was a cruel prank. Then, when Sonny confirmed it, she questioned why his mum would announce it like that in front of all their friends. Sonny took the honest route, and he told Chris why he didn't want to tell her. Chris's feelings are hurt, and she said she can't like someone who was so embarrassed for people to know he likes her, so our son is even more upset with us. What my wife did showed my son in a bad light to most of his friends. Some of them thought it was a prank. Some of them think something is wrong with my wife mentally. The people who my son is talking to the most about this situation are Tina and Tina's mum.
My girlfriend 20F wants me, 20M, to meet up with her best friend 20M to discuss who gets to be in her life. A few months into dating my girlfriend, she went through a tough time emotionally and bonded deeply with a guy who became her closest and now her only true friend. We're approaching our anniversary. It was about 7 months ago, and I do care about her a lot. That said, I've always felt uneasy about this friendship. She said things like, "You'll never understand me like he does." And I even caught her giving me lies, half-truths, about being in his dorm at 4 a.m. On top of that, I learned she told someone, "I'm not hoeing around, but there's something about us that's cute." That really hurt. Hearing his name genuinely ruins my day. It's become a sore spot. The problem is not that I feel secondary to him, but that he is of equal value to her, which should not be the case. It finally reached a point where I told her it had to be me or him. A couple days later, she told me that he had given her the same ultimatum by him, and now she says the best thing to do is for me and him to talk it out together and decide who should stay in her life. Because one, she sees us as equally important and can't choose, and two, him and I are on the same wavelength. I want to be mature and open-minded, but I feel weird even considering this. I also can't ignore how much emotional damage this situation has caused me. Is meeting up with him something I should do? Or is this whole setup a red flag in itself? Any and all advice is appreciated, please, and ASAP.